welcome in you guys. My name is Jacob Cantu. I am the tasting room manager for the Westfork Whiskey Company. I was brought on over a year ago to reimagine what Westfork can be and what we can do with the cocktail program. So what we've done is we've taken the main staple of how we create our whiskeys in-house, which all of our whiskeys are made in this facility, giving you an artisanal brand. Done here, bottled a little off-premise. We just have a facility right down at Circle City Industrial Complex. Sorry, this keeps moving around in front of me. We do all of our barreling. We have all of our new bottling facility, which allowed us to expand here for COVID with keeping sure our measurements are all in order. All of our tables are 6 feet apart. We have tons of kind of just interaction in the back, which really see the entire facility back there, which is nice. Don't have tours set up yet. That will be coming with our new headquarters that we're putting in with Westfield in the coming year. So real excited with that. It'll be basically a whole Kentucky Bourbon Trail experience here in Indianapolis. So real excited with that. But going in my background just a small bit, I have a degree in biology and chemistry. I was on track for med school and I decided to go into alcohol science instead of med school.
Good choice.
It's getting a little bored. No, it was mostly the fact that I had worked so long in the industry, supporting myself throughout college, that when I finally got done, I wanted to take a break. I'd never had it. I was raised like an Asian student. I went to school every summer long. So I finally took a break from school. Just enjoyed it. I was working in Bakersfield on Mass Ave at the time. I was helping them start. I worked the patio bar, and so I was your mohawk hairdo, unbuttoned shirt dude, shaking margaritas all summer long. So it was a lot of fun. Made some great money. Made some great connections. Thrillist magazine named me one of the top 9 bartenders of Indianapolis in 2016, and since then I kind of used that as a platform to kind of go from there. I've kind of turned into what I call a restaurant consultant. So I've worked for different facilities as either opening or revamping their bar programs, being part of their starting staff or some form of that nature. My most recent projects I've been known for is the Indianapolis Marriott Downtown. I revamped their 3 concepts in the kind of in their lobby that they revamped. They did a $45 million renovation, so I opened Connor's Kitchen with the 2 bars there. And I helped open Rye Bar in the lobby, which is a whiskey mixology style bar. Got some national fame with that, which was fun. A little more on the national than the local, which is reverse of how you do, but at a hotel bar, kind of happens that way at a hotel bar. You get a lot of bigwig clients coming in, and they spread the word, and then locals are like, "What is this?" But yeah, if you see my tattoos, it's for the Rye Bar at the Marriott, and then my 1 year here at Westfork, I got the Colonel, which is on our flagship bottle. So great little parts. I got my birds of prey for my bar program. So it just helps me that I'm spreading my wings right after or before going to med school, so see how I can do with everything. But we're going to go through. I like to use my science within cocktails. It just deconstructs how everything's done, so that way you can understand it for at home. We know you're not going to be able to recreate and create your own professional bar at home. If you do, kudos on you. Profit margin is very small. Yes. Yes, a lot of people want to open their own bars. They ask me, will you ever open your own bar? No. I will open my own bar if someone else is paying for it. They are very expensive. The profit margin is very low unless you can do it really well, which we imagine we can do here. So we've done that here in the last year. We've really revamped up how that bar program is perceived, hospitality-wise and cocktail-wise. We make almost every single ingredient in-house as much as possible to keep everything rid of high fructose corn syrup, dyes, any unartificial things that we don't want, because we know that's riddled within the bar industry right now, and we want to get that out of there for that craft game. And then the other part is we keep them just like our whiskeys. We get it really low on our price to keep it really feasible to our local clientele. Not just that, but anyone that's visiting from out of town, we're not going to price gouge you. We don't want to be like that. But I will let you know there are cocktails that do deserve that price. We apologize if they ever come up. We work very hard to get them that way with at a lower cost than we can. Like we had a Manhattan for almost up to $12. That was because we made our own barrel-aged sweet vermouth that took 12 weeks to make, and we deconstructed the entire science behind the vermouth and use a whiskey base instead of a wine base. So that is a money maker. But that's what we've done. So over quarantine, we got access to an amazing ability to use some of our other products that we had in different parts of our kind of lineup within our company, and we created the quarantine elixir mixers, as they call them now, cocktail mixers, or coming soon, what we're now as a national company, the Lockdown Cocktail Company. So that will be coming soon. But one of our most prized with is the Smash. We're known for that. It's basically a kind of like whiskey sour with mint, just fresh lemon, mint style syrup. Just a delicious summer refreshing drink. Super smooth on the whiskey style, so it really gets everyone introduced to that palate of whiskey. And I always tell people, if you're not the biggest fan of whiskey, we will teach you how to do it.
We are fans of whiskey.
You can be the biggest fan, we love that. But I always tell them, that's how our bar program is designed. If you're not the biggest fan of whiskey, we have something that's here for you. We will get you to leave drunker. So, on that note, we're going to start off with a nice lovely little shot. So this is the All or Nothing Corn Whiskey, 100% corn in the mash bill. Corn whiskeys are a little bit different than bourbons because they finish in a used bourbon barrel instead of a brand new barrel. That just gives you a little bit of different quality, a little more of a Scotch vibe, I guess you'd say. Not that peatiness, but like just kind of a little more earthy terroir coming out of there because it's just pure grain corn here grown here. So, some little shots, open that up.
Start.
So I did put out a little itinerary for us just to kind of keep us on track as we keep drinking. Our mind will keep strolling. So one of the first things I like to teach people is the definition of a cocktail. So cocktails break down into, you can go with many, many ingredients, but the four core, as it's known for, is your spirit, so kind of your base of what you're using. It doesn't always have to be something that's super high proof. Spirits can also be considered like your vermouths, amaros, digestives, different things that are on an international palate. You have a bitter, which again, those also classify as a sweet vermouth, stuff like that. But there's also other bitters that fall into that category. So a lot of your what we call non-potable bitters, things that you wouldn't just drink right out of the bottle. These are starting to become more like all your spices in your cabinets. They used to be just like a salt and pepper, where we had the Angostura, which was kind of like your pepper and your salt there, and then maybe a little Peychaud, giving you a little bit of Creole spice in there. But now we have so many different ones, like one we use in our signature old fashioned is called Chipotle Cacao, giving you a little bit of like pepper, oregano, coffee, just a fun little flavor palette in there. And then we match it with the Angostura, that gives you a nice little cinnamon flavor, so they come together creating a nice strong bowl. And that's where you can really test different bar programs by seeing how their selection of bitters are going throughout there and what they've done to alter their old fashioned and keep it fun and unique. Everyone wants to come. We do not. We go through a lot of bitters in house. Those are something a little more difficult and longer time to do. We may down the road depending on what's going on, but right now only 12 of us run this entire company full time, and that's CEO down. So
that's great.
We're all really, really busy. I was like, I think I went to Carnival today, to the West Side. I live in Irvington. I came downtown, back downtown. So,
all over.
And that's on my day off.
And you said you were a day off.
What's a day off? Going into your sugar. So we talked about your spirit, your bitter, and your sugar. Those are kind of your three main components in there. Sugars can be anything. Back in the day, old-fashioned used to be made with the sugar cube, a little soda water, muddled down. That's a little more obsolete. If someone's doing that to you, please tell them to do a little more research. Do it a little gentle. We all know that some people are still learning, but if you can kind of guide them in the right direction, be like, hey, just letting you know, your old-fashioned recipe may be a little out of date. It might be nice to start maybe using a simple syrup at your bar, because then you don't get that granulated sugar within there, because sugar no longer dissolves in cold water, and water is colder than it has been back in the 1800s with cooling systems and reverse osmosis they have. So we tend to have to do cocktails a little differently than they were old school. So when we look up old recipes, you have to tweak them for your modern style, or they may not be as delicious. The other thing back in the day is many of those recipes were built around spirits that were not good. They did not taste that great by themselves. They were still getting into the game, it was being reintroduced in the US, we just went through Prohibition, all of that fun stuff. Even before then, we were just producing some spirits and they weren't refined. We don't have the technology to really get through as we do today. So they added a lot of things. So like a Manhattan back in the day used to be equal parts your whiskey with your vermouth, and those equal parts would be sometimes a little too heavy right now with what's going on with a lot of our whiskeys that we really refined and created these gorgeous caramel vanilla notes in there, or little like after notes with like the pineapple, pear, so those are really being accented now because we've tweaked those recipes. use those vermouths and stuff as like accenting parts, really playing those flavors, not just in the spirit, but playing off of themselves. And that goes into, so we'll finish up with the definition. The last one in your cocktails is water. And that's just because you need a dilution. Chill factor, the dilution factor with that, just to really help open up and bring up. It's just like opening a glass of wine. Water does very well with spirits, and that's because water helps tame the first flavor of spirit, which is ethanol. Your ethanol is your main alcohol component, but you get other alcohols within barrel-aged spirits specifically as well, like whiskeys or any infused type of spirits. So like polyphenols come from a barrel aging process. Those are secondary alcohols that give you that pineapple, banana, pear, apricot, all those different flavors coming out of there are secondary alcohols. So water helps tone that down so those secondary alcohols come on your palate lines. We do that with whiskey tasting. We do little distilled water droppers. So that way you can do a sip, kind of shock that palate, a couple drops into a sip, and you see how they keep opening and developing. Chemistry, we call this titration because you're creating an equilibrium balance with the water, creating a flavor profile. So
Science. There's a lot more to this than I thought. Love it. So there you go.
there's a reason we all do what we do. Because it's fun, you get drunk, and it's still science. So mom and dad can still be proud of you. Like, Mom, I am studying. It's like you're getting done. No, I'm studying. Mom, I'm studying. It's like a whiskey. So like we're talking about going into like that equal split and like group modifying cocktails. So your cocktails break down into different families, as we call them, or your core cocktails. These base foundations create almost every single cocktail that is known to date. Unless a lot of cocktails are just made up by some random bartender and there's no base to it, there's usually always some type of form of base in their mind thought for it, because we all know how to make those foundation cocktails. Your old fashioned, your sour, your margaritas, all those. They even refine down even more to your core. Your core goes into your old fashioned, like we're talking about that true original definition. Spirit, bitter, sugar, water. That's an old fashioned. That can be developed into any style. It doesn't have to be whiskey, anything. You can make brandy old fashions. That is the #1 cocktail sold out of Wisconsin. They're the #1 consuming of brandy in the entire world right now, outside of France. So going in that part, and like Oaxaca old fashions out of Mexico, using both mezcal and tequila. You can play around with those developments by knowing what that core foundation is and how you can separate. We call it Mr. Potato Head in our program. You find a recipe, you take it out, put something in, and see how it does. That's how much music. So that's where a lot of cocktails are founded and created from, and that's kind of how the whiskey smash is created there. Whiskey smash comes from the foundation of the sour or whiskey sour cocktail, which is also derived off of a daiquiri. Your true simple daiquiri, not what you know. It's not blended, it's not icy, it's not pineapple. Your true simple daiquiri is a nice rum with a simple syrup and fresh lime juice. Those ingredients shaken, served neat, just like a nice little margarita. And going then for other simple syrup, like we're talking sugar, you boil it down, one part sugar to 1 part water. You just get a gorgeous syrup that dilutes nice in there. Still a little thin, so it's not extra sweet. It's not high fructose corn syrup either. I use nice, just regular white raw sugar, or even if you want to get a little more fun. Sometimes it doesn't work in every cocktail though. If you're using more raw sugars like a turbinado or stuff like that, which is what your sugar in the raw essentially is, gives you a more depth-rich syrup. These create a more caramelized flavor and accent a lot of your aged spirits a lot easier. They do well with tiki cocktails too, rounding out some of your spices and rye because it's got a little more depth instead of a water base. Those are all just dependent on sugars. Like brown sugar is essentially the same thing as the sugar in the raw. It's a reverse process, all that. So sugar cane starts off, and when you're refining, you get 2 products: white sugar and molasses. So when you think about it, if it's not all the way refined, those two are together creating a real rich style flavor. So like brown sugar is just them being like, oh, well, we want sugar in the raw again, so let's add molasses. There's probably some techniques to that to make it a little better. It's good at cooking. I love cookies. So we're going to go through, we're going to make our first cocktail going through. We talked about your core, we'll continue with your old fashions, your martinis, which is also your family for your Manhattans. They are martini style, which basically just puts your spirit in a one base. You have your daiquiri, which I talked about, which is your lime juice, your simple, or citrus, a simple, and a spirit. A sidecar, which gets a little more advanced. This is where margarita falls, because margaritas have a triple sec in there. So there's usually a spirit, a cordial, a citrus, and then the sugar. That creates your sidecar basically. And then going in a highball, anything usually soda base in there. So anything like soda water, your tonic, stuff like that, they usually fall into a highball category. We know them more like whiskey highballs or Scotch highballs. So that makes it super light, refreshing. Not usually everyone's palate, but apparently they are with the new White Claw. And then the last is a flip. Flips are all your cocktails that contain eggs. Usually a whole egg in that essence. Sours with an egg white usually fall into your daiquiri. It's just kind of a way to create that nice thick head in there. Egg whites don't contribute any flavor to a cocktail essentially. Sometimes there can be an aroma that comes off of there, but good bartenders will identify that with what they're using. And yes, so like ours is sour, we do a nutmeg dusting. Egg white substitutes for a vegan, like garbanzo bean juice is perfect, or chickpea as it's known too. Super easy, just open the can and pour it out. That may have a little bit more of an aroma you might have to mask. You tend to use less of that as well. May not be as frothy, but gets that almost like 85% same head on there. So creating that fun profile if you want to stay on a vegan or a cocktail. Or at home, kind of impress your friends a little bit. That way you're not going through a bunch of egg whites. Although I found the egg whites and the can things, they work just as well. So you just kind of got to get more of the organic style with that. Going through smash cocktails, so we've got this lovely elixir inside your guys' boxes. This already has the instructions right here on the front showing you how much whiskey to max with the elixir.
So double that?
Sure. You want to make a couple?
Like your style.
Yeah. This elixir will make anywhere between 4 to 6 cocktails, so kind of tweak it on your own flavor. If you make the first one and you don't think it's as much, you want to be a little more whiskey forward, go ahead, do 2, do 2. Do however you feel. This is all designed for you. I created these during quarantine so you can play around at home, do whatever you like. We have 20 different styles that we created with all fresh ingredients to give you the whole at-home experience that we do here since we were closed for too long. Kind of created a few that we can do long term with all the fun stuff. So they're super easy. Grab a jigger, shot glass, whatever you have with as you're out, or you can just eyeball it on however you want to do. So we're just gonna go in here. This takes 2 ounces. Go right. Boom.
So is 2 ounces too fast or what?
2 ounces. That's questionable. So shots, some places tend to be 1.25, 1.5, 1 ounce. It's all depending on the trickery of the bar. Whatever shot glass size they want to do and what profit margins they want to create. So shots can be 2 ounces if your industry is full. You would expect it. They can be 4 ounces too. That's why I always have them serve me shots in places because they stop having them in mixed cocktails. They get how much is drink. But yeah, so jiggers are precise, accurate. So one side is 1 ounce going to 2. So you're kind of different. So like restaurant bars or base cocktails tend to be about 1.25 to 1.5 ounces of spirit in there. Some people, if they have like a nice citrus base or really good collective cocktail, that's why sometimes cocktails are more, we tend to push the limit on how much we can push in there. So we'll do like 2 ounces, maybe push it up to 3 ounces on a cocktail. And so Indiana law prevents us from going over 3 ounces in one portion. So that's why you'll see some cocktails with a sidecar of shots for you to personally add. That is technically 2 cocktails. So
Gotcha.
we'll go in. 1.5 is just inside this line of the jigger. You can always go a little bit more. If you're at home, you don't have to be as precise. Just add some fresh ice in there. If you want to make it a little fun, accent the mint a little bit more, throw some fresh mint in there. But since I've already done this inside this whole cocktail, I've done the science, I've broken it down so it's stabilized, it's able to do at home, but still give you that fresh ingredient vibe without being synthetic, artificial, or nasty.
That's part of that, right? Yes, got it.
So shaking at home doesn't need to have so much flair as I just presented. I like to do that because that's how a professional does that. But for you at home, it's just so much easier if you find things that work for you. At home, when I'm trying to impress people, I'm trying to move fast because there's usually a lot of people. So I do a blender ball at home because I can seal it real fast, shake it real good, and then pour. And then usually if there's a spout, I already has like a pre-filter on there, so I don't have to get all fancy with different tools. Here we've got sinks, we've got cleaners, like we can just kind of move, groove, have different pieces of equipment. But at home I know how it's working for you, so you don't have to use just a blender bowl. If you have anything that will seal together pretty tightly, please don't use glass on glass. I've seen too many bar programs. They will shatter on you. Sorry, I had a little moment there. But they will shatter on you. It's just best to do like a plastic inside of glass or both plastics to seal together decently. They don't have to seal, but if they don't seal this properly, please don't shake it as close to you. Don't shake it above your head. Do not shake it above your head. If you do have a shaker at home, I know a lot of cocktail shakers at home have those tops on there. Sometimes if you have the top on your cocktail, not this particular, but ones on the roll tops, and we call them Persian shakers, I think. There's different styles of them. But those, they tend to sometimes build up some energy depending on what you're doing. Never shake with soda or anything like that. Anywhere in that cocktail. So like if you notice, the reason we have to smack so hard at the end is because this has created a vacuum. So sometimes if you're doing that, like it'll either pop off with too much buildup, or it may even suck it into the pipe and get it out of the So sometimes you just gotta do it. So with these, if you have them at home, there's a sweet spot right here just outside where your thumb lands. You hold this just like a football. You got your flesh end down here at the top, and then right over here where I sang the thumb, pops that right open. The other thing too is these are Japanese steel, so you can kind of just flex them. So like if this is doing like real bad, you just give it a nice little tug and shake it loose. So put one on that, and then you can just go right in. So cocktail there. Garnish, always important when you're wanting to crispy. Always fresh. So you smack herbs because herbs are very sensitive with the oils. So with the herbs, rosemary, mint, all your fun stuff, either smacking or doing a nice little whip on that really kind of shocks those pores or the stoma within the leaves, releasing those essential oils, being very fragrant. So now give that mint leaf just a whip, like throw it right up to there, and you'll see how all of those oils open up just by a simple smack. And I picked those like over a couple hours ago off the stem, so like they're so that is straight whiskey with fresh lemon juice, your mint simple syrup that we created in-house, and then we've redeveloped it to make it more an at-home stabilized cocktail. So it's fun in that essence. What we do, so we were talking about shaking, the reason I put it in there and did all that instead of just trying to pour right into a glass is because shaking helps open those flavors. Aerating is what we want inside there. The same concept of aerating your wine, opening those flavors in there. Citrus is very tart, potent. This really brings it alive. So put all those flavors in there, you give it a simple shake, boom, ready to go. Great cocktail for all your friends. So these come in a nice little bowl. You can do however style. We have different ones launching for our fall menu as well. We have a huge extensive menu for our summer. We have all these fresh ingredients. My favorite was the watermelon crawl.
Well, Tracy Bird action going on in 90s country.
Turning an entire watermelon syrup was very fun. Felt like Fruit Ninja back there, like just carving up.
I know we've included these in the boxes. Where can folks pick these up?
So these are on our website. We have a new ordering platform we created during quarantine. It's westforkbottleshop.com. So completely different than our normal website. Westforkbottleshop.com gives you access to anything that we tend to have available through the tasting room. If we are feeling up to selling that online, some like distillers collections or stuff we kind of reserve just because we don't know if someone will try to order 15 and stuff like that. So with these, they tend to be in stock. We will adjust. If you aren't seeing some in stock, please call us. Sometimes it's just a mishap of not counting. Like we've done like with your guys' bulk order, my invoices go through my inventory, so I have to restock my inventory sometimes. And I'm like, oh wait, 100 just went out. I need to put that. I need to put that back in there. Yeah, so all the whiskeys are on there as well for them to be able to choose. We were kind of doing bundles back in the day too, with like the whole like just incentives for at home. You can order a few of them. You can order many. If you're ordering many, please do it online or kind of call more ahead. All of these ingredients, like you're saying, are fresh, so we can make them in house. A lot of them tend to mirror our bar program as well, so we tend to not hopefully wipe out a cocktail from the bar. But if we have to for a sale, we'll do it for sale money is money. So, but Yeah, everything is available. Like we said, we'll sell the house if we need to.
Can you talk a little bit about this particular whiskey?
Yeah, so All or Nothing, the corn whiskey here, so it's 100% corn, all made, grown in the U.S. All grown in Indiana. That's been a long day. This is all made here in this facility. It's, like I said, aged in a used bourbon barrel. That's just one of the laws determining a corn whiskey versus a bourbon. It's just, if it was going in a fresh charred barrel, then that would just be a bourbon. 100% corn in there. It was one of our first as our flagship style. So we created an unaged version of this, the 2-hour delay, which is more of like a neutral grain style spirit. You still get that real strong, like corny flavor through there. A little bit of earthiness backbone. And then this is the aged version of it, kind of showing you how the barrel aging process really affects the spirit. Not just with color, but with the flavor profile in there. And then we launched our Kernel, which is our flagship bourbon that we have, which is a weeded style. And then as we kept going, we went to a high ride bourbon, to a rye whiskey, and then a cinnamon whiskey. So we have 6 whiskeys as our staple core line. We have a bunch of whiskeys that we do as distillers collections that are limited launches. And as we keep growing, we'll have different stuff. We did a bicentennial bourbon with the city of Indianapolis to celebrate their birthday, and it sold out in 2 weeks with over 600 bottles sold. It was a fun show around here. Let's just say my phone was not touched by more people before. Yeah. I had a lot of sterilizer. Sanitize. And so I think that's all I have for you right now. We can go more in depth on later dates. There's a lot to go into, trust me. I'm always studying. I have an entire library up there that covers everything you probably ever want to know about cocktails. And we're always discovering day to day too. It's a new science that's been delved into. There's a lot of things that are going on within the industry. Everyone's being creative, recreating, redeveloping. You've got clear ice techniques. You've got freezing things into the ice. You've got new liquors that are making their way on the market. You've got non-alcoholic presence coming into play using CBD oil, using aperitifs that have been stripped of their ABV. Like all of these weird things that are coming into this play that can really develop programs. You've got new flavored ginger beers, flavored tonic waters, all these different components, different styles of bitters, spirits, everything being entered in the market. So create things at your own leisure. Have fun with it, study, just I always say compare recipes. Find a few, put them together. If anything, put them together. See how it goes. So that's what I tend to do. Like I found our house amaretto. I found about 6 different recipes in amaretto. Found the commonalities, tweaked what I thought would be a greater flavor profile out of there, and we now have an amazing house amaretto that uses our whiskey. So.
Awesome.
Thank you so
guys.
much.
My pleasure.
They're wonderful.
Thank you for coming out tonight. It's always a pleasure to take care of you guys. If you have any questions, please visit me at Westfork. I'm usually here about 6 days a week. We'll take care of all your needs. We are not open on Monday. Please do not come.